What's going on, people? It's DJDthaDeviant here, aka D-Rick, and I'm bringing you some Scar gameplay on the map Meltdown. You know, whatever. 91 and 3, couldn't quite get 100 plus, but it's whatever. You know, hey, I take what the game gives me. You know, so hey. But I was sitting up this morning, well, not gonna tell you, but I'm recording it this morning. But I was sitting up and I was thinking about what constitutes a good player, because I have a multitude of people that tell me, you know, they're good at the game, you know, real life friends, you know, people I work with and shit like that. Then I have, you know, a whole bunch of people online that, you know, they say they're pretty good players, you know, they consider themselves good players. And I started thinking to myself, what actually constitutes someone being a good player? Because, you know, when I run into lobbies like this, I don't know or consider the people I'm playing against bad per se, but obviously they aren't good either, because, you know, you don't get smashed as bad as these kids get smashed without, you know, being below average. But then I started thinking about some of the friends that I have, you know, once again, my real life friends and some of my Xbox Live friends, and, you know, their KDs, their score per minutes, their win-loss, but they consider themselves good. And I started thinking that it's all relative to what you consider a bad player to be. So as I started thinking about what makes a person a bad player, and I was like, a lot of people were like, oh, people who use target finders are bad players because it takes no skill. And I said, meh. I mean, it's an attachment, it's in the game. It's the same as people who were using, you know, Last Stand, or we're using, you know, what was it, Final Stand, or whatever, you know, like perks and that death streaks like that. You know, does that make that person bad? Because, you know, in Black Ops, you know, there was a lot of people with super high KDs because they were using that good old Last Stand. You know, they throw that perk on, and as soon as they get shot like they're about to die, they just go into that fucking lover mode position and put their gun out and shoot you. And, you know, it is what it is. But does that make him a bad player? I don't know. I guess it's all relative to how you feel about things. Because the way I feel is that, are you competent? That's what I want to know. Do you know how to play the game? Do you know when to stop rushing into a spot and dying? Do you know when to sneak around, when to flank? Do you know when it's time to cap a flag so you don't lose? Those are the type of things I look at that constitutes a good player, because not everybody's gonna put up crazy numbers. Not everybody is a slayer, you know. I categorize people as their game type, you know, how they play. I consider myself a pretty much all-around player. You know, I can kill, I can play the objective, I do all that. And, you know, I'm not exactly great at any of them, but I'm decent enough at all of them to feel like I'm a pretty decent player. But then I have friends who are pure objective players. You know, they're hardcore on it. They use tac insertions, they use C4, they have a multitude of defends. They probably know who I'm talking about if they're watching this video. And then I have other friends who they're extremely dominant in one game type. You know, they're just the man at demolition, or the man at, you know, hardpoint. But, you know, they falter at other game types. And it is what it is, you know. Certain people, you know, different strokes for different folks. Certain people are just naturally better at certain things than other people. Certain people know how to play certain game types and game play styles better than other people. Me, I just try to make myself adapt to whatever the situation calls for. But I started thinking, like, what really constitutes someone as a bad player? And I said, the only thing I could figure is the person who just really has no clue what's going on. Like, Call of Duty has a wide range of types of people playing it, but I feel like you can at least be competent in what you're doing. You know the maps, know the objectives, you know I don't say you got to know spawn points so much, because knowing spawn points is kind of what separates, you know, good play, I'll say regular players from good players. You know, learning spawn points and knowing where to go before the people even get there, you know, even spawn there, they'll be able to kill them. But just knowing what you're doing I think that constitutes being a good player. Because, you know, not everybody, like I said, not everybody's gonna hold a super high KD. I have friends that play this game just to tomahawk people. That's all they want to do. Can they play, you know, using regular guns and do well? Yeah, they were beasts in other Call of Duties, but now they just come to a point where they do things to entertain themselves, but they still play to win, you know. And I guess that's my thing. If you play to win and you don't quit out like a bitch, I guess that makes you a good player in my book. Because, you know, a lot of people get into this mode where if they can't do and play the way that they think the game should be played, that they don't want to play at all. And I never want to be like that. If things aren't going my way, I'm just gonna switch up and try to do something to make things better for myself. But, you know, I try to adapt to whatever the crowd wants to do. You know, if my team wants to, you know, cap 2 flags and try to spawn trap them, hey, I'll go along with it. It's whatever. But if, you know, I have my way, usually I like to triple cap. You know, I like to speed things up, you know, flip the spawns real fast. You know, when things are like going like that, when things seems a little haywire, that's what makes me excited, because then I can see where everybody's moving to, where everybody's going. You know, then I understand the spawn points very well, and it just helps me out. But I really just don't know how people feel. But overall, I think if you know the game well enough to play and not just sit in your spawn and spin around shooting a gun, then pretty much you're alright to a good player. But hey, that's just my opinion. I'm out of here. Peace.